Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King Leo Show. I'm your host, King Leo. How's everyone doing tonight? We're live. We are live, and we're on time. We're not early, not late. Let me get one thing sorted here. How's everyone doing tonight? Second, guys. How you doing, Mr. Elu? 1 second, my good sir. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to the King Leo Show. I'm your host, King Leo. We have a lot to get through today that's somewhat important. I'm very excited to cover this Tucker Carlson, Ron Paul thing. This is pretty odd to see. I hope that you guys enjoy the new style. We're going for a new aesthetic on the channel, something a little better. I'm also going back to the backyard videos because they were good, man. They were good. It was a good way of getting the message out there, the modularity message. So go check out the new one that came out today about being nice to normies. So we're here. We're ready. Let's get into it. Happy Black History Month. Let's do our Black Person of the Day.
You have to think, young brother, about your future.
Take it from me, someday we'll all be free.
All right. So today we have, I don't know if I should lead with this first. We have, dude, it's not a great day to be a Floridian because they changed the state bird. Let's do that first. I want to show, this was our state bird. It was the mockingbird. And look, I get it, right? It's not that impressive. It's a little mockingbird. It can make fun of the other birds. They made it the flamingo. That happened today. That was today where they made the flamingo the official state bird. And I feel like the flamingo didn't earn anything here. You know, this little ugly bird, the mockingbird, my whole life has been the state bird, and the flamingo just gets upgraded. Why? Because it's a looks maxer, because it's been bone mashing, because it's pink. That's not fair. You can't change the state bird. You can't do that. I was comfortable with the mocking. I feel like my whole life has changed, you know? My whole life, you know, what's the state bird? The mockingbird. We had to learn that at school as children, and now it's the flamingo. Oh, that's predictable. They made it the flamingo. The pinkest, prettiest bird is the state. We had this little ugly thing as our bird, and they just take it from us. Like it's nothing. Like it's an important bird. You see these everywhere. You don't see flamingos barely show up here, you know? So, you know, rest in peace to the... Yeah, let's do that, bro. Rest in peace, man. I'm going to miss the... I'm a mockingbird truther. I am the truther when it comes to the Florida state bird. It is the Florida mockingbird, okay? It's not the flamingo hasn't done anything. All they do is eat shrimp. What do they do? All right. I learned this like an hour ago, and why did they do that? Why did they do that to us? All right, let me see here. Who's here? How you doing, Dane? Thank you for watching. I thought it was the heron. No, it was the mockingbird. It was the mockingbird this whole time. Lost it. Mr. Elu says, Yet to Kill a Mockingbird was written in home state of Alabama. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, Dane, I read you were in Florida last night. Yeah. I guess, yeah, this is your bird too now. You're a flamingo guy now, right? And Audio Vibes, how you doing? Big day for the Florida lottery. Oh my God. Yeah, maybe that's why they did it. Maybe it's a conspiracy with the Florida lottery. And so as we're talking Florida, we have to talk about the Black Person of the Day, who is Ray Charles, one of our very own. I'm very proud as a Floridian that we produced Ray Charles. We talked about him in the first week of Black History Month. And I was like, should we do it? And I think this is a Florida, this is worth remembering. And this is one of the most talented musicians who have ever lived. Okay? This is a very important fella. He's from here, and he is revered here, all right? He's from God, dude, what is the name of that little town he's from? It's a shitty little town up in Florida. That is it's like in the Vernon area. Not Albany. He was born in Georgia, but he's a Florida guy. He identified with Florida. Greenville. He was from Greenville, Florida, okay? He came from this shitty little house here in Greenville. I almost went last time, but it was too far. Dane, if you're in Pensacola, you're like right near it. It's a bad neighborhood where it's in now, apparently. But look, he was deaf. No, sorry, he was blind. I was gonna say deaf, dumb, and blind. No, he was just blind. Not just blind, he's blind. And how you doing, 112? No notice from YouTube. Hit that bell. Hit the bell. I've seen people say that. I hope that's what it is. And look, he was, how you doing, 112? He was, I've said it before, but to reiterate, just how impressive it is, he was completely blind. Okay, they think he had some sort of glaucoma as a kid. Yet he learned how to play the piano and compose beyond piano, strings, everything, as a blind man, you know? He was using braille music, sheet music. He was using memorization. And that he was educated in the St. Augustine School for the Blind, still operational today. I've seen it in St. Augustine, up in North Florida. This guy was special. He was really something. In recent years, we've had a lot of people talking about how Helen Keller isn't real or Stevie Wonder isn't blind. He was blind. You know, there's no doubt here. So I thought we'd listen to him talk here about Elvis a little bit because he was not a fan of Elvis, as a lot of black musicians of the era weren't.
It's more different kinds of music than you. That's obvious. But did you feel at the time, in the 50s, early 60s, a resentment of some of the white performers who were copying R&B stuff and selling more records than you and your contemporaries were?
I just didn't object to it. I just felt that the music it wasn't that good to care about. Now, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But I'm being honest with you.
Maybe some exceptions, though. I mean, Elvis was a talented guy.
Well, okay.
Not necessarily. You know better than I.
Yeah.
Let me ask it differently. How good was Elvis?
What Elvis did, he caused a lot of the populace, if you want to, and usually when people say populace, they usually mean white people, to start listening to a lot of music that normally they wouldn't have been listening to. I guess I'm going to lose at least about a third of my fans right now. But to say that Elvis was so great and so outstanding, like they say, he's the king. I got in trouble because one guy asked me this question, and I said the king of what, and he got mad at me. You see, I don't.
All right, and he goes on, but I think it's an interesting POV. I've never really subscribed. It's probably because I'm not black, right? Like I don't really feel strongly about. I love the black music, but I don't. It's not part of my identity, right? But so I've never really been like, oh, Elvis was a thief, you know, like Public Enemy. Elvis was a hero to most, but like that wasn't really my thing. But I mean, I guess I kind of understand it. You know, Elvis was this guy who was a culture vulture in the views of some people. I've never really liked Elvis. I don't like Elvis's music. There's some good songs, but I've never really found him to be that talented. And it's not really his fault entirely. The guy wasn't able to develop because he had some stupid management issue. But I do think Ray Charles' music is better than Elvis. Absolutely. The King, Ray Charles, the King. So, you know. How you doing, APK? Rap is poison. Well, he didn't rap. I don't think Ray Charles ever rapped. So, Ray Charles, he's been sampled for rap. We could do another. I know who we're gonna do tomorrow. And 112 says Elvis opened doors to movie star. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what he says, that Elvis was good because it brought people more black, like more open to black music. That's why he was good. But you know, he didn't consider the music very talented. I guess Elvis did have a good social effect, right? For race relations in some way. But I just don't like the Elvis music. But we're not here to denigrate Elvis. We're here to uplift Ray Charles, one of Florida's very own St. Augustine School for Boys, of the blind boys. The school's still operating this day. It's one of the best schools in the world for blind people. And if they can produce Ray Charles, shit, if my kids were blind, God forbid, I'd send them here so they could end up just like Ray Charles. All right, let's get into it. We're gonna listen to some Ray Charles at the end of the show. All right. APK says, other than rap, black music is great. I know a lot of people who share that sentiment. I really hate when people are like, oh, black music is just terrible. I've seen that a lot online, and it's like, dude, what do you mean? Soul music is bad? I understand not loving rap or anything, but that's, soul music.
I hate stupid people, and I'm starting.
Soul music, R&B, etc. All right, Schizo Watch. Let's get into it, dude. We have a heavy Schizo Watch. All right. We're going to start here. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I just have to show you. I am fed up with this guy, obviously. This is fresh and fit Myron Gaines. His real name's like Admar Farouk or something. I really don't like this guy. And I think that just like Fishback did to Byron, people need to stop letting him be black. He's not black. And he is saying some things during Black History Month of all months that I'm just like, dude, what is wrong with you? It's also so try hard. I don't know if his audience loves this kind of stuff. It's such like he's trying to channel Kanye 5 years ago or Nick Fuentes, but he's a 40-year-old washed up fed. So it doesn't hit the same. But I just want to show you, I don't know if this resonates with his audience or not, but it's definitely like a sick thing, the way that he expresses himself on the internet. Let's see what he has to say here to Black Americans.
I hate stupid people, and I'm starting to realize the more I podcast, the more I stream, I realize a lot of y'all niggas are fucking retarded. Fucking drool on yourselves and shit. You niggas better pray. You niggas better pray, bro. I never get in some position of power. You niggas are going back to slavery. Bro, nigga, if I ever become president of the United States, oh my God, day one, IQ test, everybody. Niggas that scored 89, guess what? You got 99 years in the slave camp, nigga.
Now, unfortunately, for my producer, who's of Arab background to an extent, the Arabs are not beating the we enslave black people stereotype after this. He's not black. He's literally an Arab. He's from Sudan. He's an Arab guy. An Arab guy wants to restart the African slave trade. They started it. I guess maybe there is something to this, genetic stuff. Arab guy in America gets rich, immediately wants to enslave black people during Black History Month. All right. Maybe we'll get some pyramids. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know who, this is gooning. It's goon. Oh, we're going to enslave black. Why would you watch this? What is this? What is this? It's not particularly intelligent. He is intelligent when it comes to procedural stuff, where he's talking about how criminal complaints work and shit. I'm not sure why you would watch this. Whatever, dude. Let's move on. I had to show you because I can't stand this guy, dude. Like this is clearly so performative. If I came out here and I was like, yeah, dude, tomorrow we're gonna enslave all the black people, and we're gonna enslave the liberals, or the conservatives. Do you want to goon? Like, if you want to goon, you can go to the next tab and pull up some prawn. What is, like, who is watching this? This is good commentary. Fucking lives in Miami, dude. All right, let's continue here. We'll save this for tomorrow. I wanted to show you this. This is Ricky Schlott. I'm gonna shit on her just because I don't like this woman. She's been on Bill Maher before. This is the dumbest bitch at the New York Post. I don't know much about her. I read about her when I saw her on Bill Maher because she's so young and she has this AstroTurf YouTube channel. And I was like, this woman is dumb. She's not a good journalist. I don't like this woman. All right. I hate Ricky Schlott. I love women. I have no problem with women. This woman, it's like clearly some sort of Nepo connection got her to where she is. And she's reporting for the New York Post. It's not really about her. I don't like her or whatever, but to put that aside, it's the subject matter. So let's watch with the New York Post. I just can't stand her. Look at the glare on her face. Put some powder on, you fucking freak. If you're going to have lights, put some powder on. Look at that glare. All right, let's watch what she has to say here about where things are going.
We're here at Same Wine Bar with Ava AI, and this is the first ever real-life date cafe where you can go on an AI date with your AI partner from their app and go into your own little world with your headphones to have a FaceTime with them, but also be in the company with other real people who have AI partners. So it's been pretty interesting so far, but this is opening night and we'll see if this is something that can replicate in other cities. So these are all AI profiles that you can pick from on Eva AI. Sends a warm, romantic, NYC girl next door, supportive thinker, mature grace. The female characters are obviously fairly reductive. The males are interesting, to say the least. But yeah, you can chat with them and they'll send you messages through the day.
I don't hate this. All the comments are like, this is evil. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Bunch of guys gooning in public. Nice to see a reporter. So, this isn't a bad idea at all. Normally, I would say...
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
But this is not a bad idea. This is not a... Look, we have to move forward. We have to progress. We have to leave behind the bonds and chains of our ancestors, okay? People are unhappy. They're at home. They're watching Myron Gaines make them schizophrenic. They're watching MSNBC making them a crazy person. They're not going out to go hit on women and men because they're all antisocial now. Maybe this is the first step. Maybe these are the training wheels for us to get out there again. Put yourself on the market. I know that it sounds dystopian, but the reality is, if we can separate the positive and the negative, I'm going to go real Sam Harris here, all right? So follow me, okay? Sam Harris was talking about fake meat once, and he said, why would you be against fake meat if I'm removing all of the pain that comes with real meat and you get to enjoy the same thing? If we remove everything negative about a relationship or a talking phase for a very reduced price, is this not a great way for people to develop training wheels to get out there in the world? I don't think it's that bad. Dude, we're going to have to socialize at some point. I said this when COVID happened. If anyone is still thinking the lockdowns were good for socialization, you're living on another planet. It was bad. People don't know how to communicate. And maybe they need to be inculcated with the ideas of communicate. And maybe AI can do this. Maybe it can. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. But I am a Stalinist on some aspects. Maybe let's throw money at the problem and see if it'll work. So while most people hate this, I think it's much more schizo to be at home alone gooning to Tucker Carlson. I think this is a lot healthier, honestly. I really do. And then hopefully they can graduate. And maybe they don't graduate on from there. Maybe they just stay with their AI girlfriend, like in that movie Her. And they're happy. If they're happy, then what's the problem? If they are happy, then what's the problem? You're going to be mad at someone else's happiness? You're going to be mad at someone's AI girlfriend? I can't believe it. Why would you be angry at someone else is happy? You know? Maybe 50 years ago, we're in a postmodern world, dude. You can be as angry as you want that some people like the Super Bowl. It's not going to change anything. You have your own Super Bowl halftime show to watch. Let's continue. Let's watch here Tucker Carlson, who interviewing Chris Williamson. I guess I must have missed this. This is great to watch for today because as of today, Tucker Carlson has downloaded the Ron Paul personality. He's a Ron Paul guy, okay? This is last year, Tucker Carlson endorsing Stalinism or Juche thought. I guess I must have missed this. When you have a British former Big Brother contestant, what else is there to talk to them about rather than Stalinism?
You want to get really red-pilled? In 100 years, there will be only North Koreans. So, at current rates of fertility. So that means the last Stalinist system in the world works better on a fundamental level, which is to say it reproduces itself more effectively than the most precise copy of American society ever created, which is South Korea, occupied by American troops for 75 years. It's an American clone. I don't know if you've been there. No. Great people, awesome people. I love the South Koreans, but they're committing mass suicide. Meanwhile, their Stalinist sibling, which is like the most repressive society ever, is like, what is that?
We have seen Tucker Carlson, on this show at least, jump from Trump populism to J.D. Vance online rightism to Groyperism to Milo Yiannopoulos-ism to now Ron Paulinism. Good to know that before that he was a neocon and then like a paleoconservative and I guess a Stalinist. This guy, dude, if you don't realize that he has to be either trolling or trying to drive you nuts. This guy can't have beliefs, dude. Like, this is not possible. It's not possible to change your beliefs that much. It's really not. You can't tell me last year that North Korea is more successful because of Stalinism, and then in February tell me that Ron Paul minimal government is the solution. I mean, what are we doing here? This is crazy. Like, this is, dude, there's no way. There's no way. Like, there is no way. There's no way. I've had political shifts in my life, but not like this. You don't wake up when I'm a Stalinist. Oh, now I'm a Groyper. Now no, that doesn't work that way. I don't get it. How you doing, Ephra? 112 says Tucker can't find his audience. Maybe we're gonna speculate on that 112. I'm not sure what his end goal is. And Ephra says, to be fair, the world is changing at a crazy place. That is true. That is true, Ephra. That's true. I wanted to show you here. The Free Press is a pristine media organization. Probably one of the best in terms of research and how it's run. The Free Press is a great one. The reason I can say that to you is because it achieved a $300 million valuation. Okay? And they were bought by CBS, and Barry Weiss, the founder, was put in charge of CBS. So you may disagree, but the market doesn't. This is one of the best media organizations in the world. The best, okay? $300 million worth with like 50K subs, all right? It's one of the best. I want to show you what the best media organization is putting out now. Now that they've been bought by CBS, this is really worth watching. I love to see the slop they're putting out. Let's see what my wife, Barry Weiss, is putting out.
Jakub Elordi is so sanctimonious. It's hard to take him seriously. This guy is obviously famous because he's hot, but he insists that he's some sort of misunderstood, brooding artist. Watching him do press for Wuthering Heights reminded me exactly why he's so irritating. This is him telling the Wall Street Journal why he got into acting.
There was no other kind of outlet for my behavior, so I think it was like, it's either this or like we have to lock you away somewhere.
Oh, you're so troubled, Jakub Elordi? Most Hollywood actors know that fame is a mix of timing, luck, some talent, mostly good looks. Not him. He's entered a new tier of Hollywood self-seriousness. And I wish I didn't know this much about him, but the algorithm keeps shoving him onto my screen.
The Free Press is now, after their acquisition, this isn't even TMZ or what was the Inquirer? What is this? $300 million, and they're reporting on how this young man is angry at an actor. Like, what the fuck are we talking? When this started, I was like, oh, it's the Free Press. They're gonna be like Jakub Elordi is an anti-Semite or something. I thought that's where the story would go. You know, I'm not, if he had done that, maybe it's worth covering. I don't know. I don't think Jacob Elordi is very influential, but maybe he is. I don't know. This is 2.5 minutes of this young man here mad at an actor because he's stupid, because he's not very intelligent. That's why he's a good actor. Like, I've said this before, an actor can only be a good actor if they're stupid. That's why the best actors are brain dead, with few exceptions, like Daniel Day-Lewis or something. Why is he so angry with? I'm just wondering, did Larry Ellison sign off on this? He was like, dude, this is a great story. Yes, this is why I bought the free press, because we're going to write hit pieces about how stupid an actor is. Body Dolino says, Leo, did you see your wife, Barry Weiss's wife? Her wife is in the Epstein files? What? I don't believe that, Body Dolino. I don't. If she was there, it was purely for journalism purposes. All right. It was for journalism purposes. If she was there, it was for that. All right. Let Barry off the hook here, okay? I want to show you here our Secretary of Health. She didn't do anything. All right. Let's watch here our Secretary of Health. I don't even mind this that much, honestly.
And I said, I'm not scared of a germ. You know, I used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats. And I know this disease will kill me. Right. Like if I don't.
Right. Right. So now we know our Secretary of Health used to snort cocaine off his toilet seats. I don't exactly hate this, dude. I've long been for criminalizing marijuana and legalizing hard drugs, because this life is not for pussies. If you want to do drugs, go straight to the heart. What are you doing with this weed? It smells, it's everywhere. This sanctimonious garbage with the weed. I wonder if we will get some drug policy change. In Switzerland, they're already legalizing cocaine, or decriminalizing it at least. And who knows, man? The way Kennedy's moving, we might have a Maha brief pretty soon that says, oh, you know, doing cocaine is actually good for you. So it would be an interesting time. Now, I don't know about snorting a cocaine off a toilet seat. I've been around people that use cocaine. I've never seen them snort it off a toilet seat, usually off their hand or a phone nowadays. But it's pre-phone. Maybe this is some boomer lore, honestly. Maybe this is something that boomers used to do that I wasn't aware of. Like, they used to do cocaine off the toilet seat. That is an idiosyncrasy that you can learn now. Like, if you meet a boomer, you're like, did you ever do cocaine off of a toilet seat? There's some real elite ball knowledge being dropped. All right. How you doing, Iron Hammer Forge? How you doing, Lolita Express? All right. This guy might enjoy. Before we get to the Guima God, let's do Jeff Watch then. Thank you, sir, for showing up.
Could you please give us your name? Jeffrey Epstein.
Molly my bean, Molly my bean, Molly my bean, Molly my bean.
So Maduro has reasserted himself in the Kirk sphere. All right. He has reasserted himself. And this is one of the better ones that I've seen in a long time. This was very funny. Let's watch here how they all live on together, the living and the dead, all coexisting in the digital plane.
No, Charlie, you better explain to them what we're going to be doing. Come on. And give Donald a little kiss for the camera.
We're going to be playing Ouija. Let's see how we do.
Okay, ya estoy grabando, chicos.
If you're really the ghost of Diddy, show us a sign.
Se está moviendo, se está moviendo.
Oh, oil.
¡Ay, no! ¡Donald Trump!
Diddy, stop! Go away.
Jeffrey, ayúdalo.
Diddy, go away. Resist.
Resiste, Donald Trump.
It's funny, but what I like about this one, in terms of what it teaches us about the direction where AI is going and just how human consciousness is evolving, is while it is very funny, there is something, if not dark, interesting about having Diddy's ghost assault Donald Trump, because Diddy is alive. So now we're having not only necromancy, as I stated from the start of this, it was all necromancy, right? You know, you're bringing Charlie Kirk. He's more alive than ever on here, right? He's also, we had seen the shift into Charlie Kirk being with people that are still alive, like Donald Trump, right? But now we have the inclusion of people that are alive in the spirit form. So I think that this I know that I don't want to be pedantic here, but this reminds me a lot of the best explanation of quantum computing, if it does exist, right? A lot of people say it's fake. Well, quantum computing, the easiest way to explain it is that computers are binary, right? They're a 1 and a 0. So imagine a 1 here and a 0 here on this coin. And to visualize quantum computing, what you would do is you'd spin the coin around. That's what a quantum computer does. I think we're getting to a point where, well, we already had that, where death was meaningless, but life will be meaningless in the AI plane. You will be either dead, it's going to be Schrodinger's everyone. If they choose to portray you as dead or a spirit, that is just as valid as portraying you as alive. This is, I know that this is, maybe it's not crazy, you know, to you guys, but think a little bit beyond the meme. This is pretty crazy, where now they are actually, life means nothing now, like to the AI. Life and death. It can bring you back or it can banish you too. That is one of the crazier things that I've experienced in my life, seeing that, you know? Pretty crazy. Let's continue. This one here, what do we got here? This is Chinese Donald Trump. I think the China fans will appreciate it.
正月里来是新年儿啊，大年初一头一天儿啊。
川子，火要灭了，你上当院里整点柴火去，快溜达！
哎呀妈的，这么多事儿呢。
Well, this one, it's funny, you know, to have Trump in Chinese, making Chinese food. I think what's interesting here is, again, because most of these memes we watch and we're like, aha, they're funny or whatever. This one here also blew my mind in the sense of, if this AI gets so good, I can even understand why Donald Trump cut the UN budget, because we can just fire every translator, every interpreter, most of the staff, and we don't even need the building anymore, because we can do the UN conference with AI Donald Trump in every language for every country across the world, and vice versa. We're getting to a really freaky point where, to address the nation, I'm sure AI is already being used. There were some Biden videos that were clearly like fucking weird when Biden was president. There's been some Trump ones, but I'm not letting libs off the hook for that one, dude. There were Biden videos that were fucking... do you remember when libs were saying that you were calling them cheap fake? Remember when they made up cheap fake? Fuck you. You're a liar and a gaslighter. The libs were really onto one when people were saying that Joe Biden looks dead. They were really whatever, let's put that aside. I don't want to remember the libs being crazy. But this one is interesting, where, why do we need the UN budget? Why do we need the World Bank budget? We can just send AI Donald Trump to dictate policy in Chinese for the Chinese audience. Just saying, it would save a lot of money. It would save a lot of money. All right, let's continue. Corn Pop was a band, dude. We have here, I think these are just more funny now.
Everything that I've read, praise the Lord. Worship Christ with the best of your portions. I know I won't forget all he's done. He's the strength in this race that I run. Every time I look up, I see God's faithfulness, and it shows just how much he is miraculous. I can't keep it to myself. I can't sit here and be still. Everybody I will tell till the whole world is healed. King of kings, Lord of lords, all the things he has in.
I can't even tell who's making this stuff. I love how Yakub has escaped. Yakub has escaped the black nationalist, what was it, Nation of Islam sphere, and now Yakub is this sort of endearing figure to people. I've always thought that there should be let me drop some elite ball knowledge here. And I'm sure, you know who would agree with me here? The smartest guy on Twitter, Richard Spencer. I've always wondered why, I don't know, Mystery Lou. I don't think this one is old. I found this one today. Yeah, this one was posted last week, but I don't think I've shown this one. But maybe, you know. Yeah, I can't even keep up anymore because my memory has been short-circuited by AI. All right, I can't remember. What weed does to weed smokers is what the internet has done to my brain. My short-term memory is gone. But I've always said, I think that, and I see it in memes, but it would be cool to see white people start to claim Yakub, be like, yes, we are children of Yakub. Because Yakub is kind of a cool story if you think about it. It's kind of an interesting story where Yakub, you know, he bashes two pieces of steel and he creates white people. It's an interesting point of view. It would be, I know it's starting ironically, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the future we have like a white nation of Islam that twists it on its head. I'm sure you would make Farrakhan lose his damn mind if you did that. So, all right. Dude, that's crazy shit, man. Let's continue. We have to get to the Goyim have gone insane. Me and my Gentiles are going crazy.
The people are retarded.
Okay, and here we have, firstly, I need to show this young man here. I've seen him. People have sent this guy to me. He's on TikTok. I've wanted to show him to you guys, but I've never seen it on Twitter. This young man has started to do what I do as well, where we've all accepted that Bibi is like the big boss, dude. He's the supervisor. He's in charge. I'm not saying that from an anti-Semitic place. I'm saying that from a real place. Benjamin Netanyahu is like the smartest guy on the planet. Love him or hate him, guys, he gets everything he wants every single time. He's a genius. Like, he is a genius. And a lot of people, I think, have gone from like the anger phase to now it's bargaining in an odd way. So let's watch here. This guy's whole channel on TikTok is this, and I love it. It's so good.
Benjamin Netanyahu! These roads are too icy! Benjamin Netanyahu! Netanyahu! Save me! Netanyahu! Benjamin Netanyahu! If you can hear me! Netanyahu! Netanyahu! Please! Benjamin Netanyahu!
If you're ever stuck in traffic, my Gentiles, I do think, I gotta say, if I had access to Benjamin Netanyahu, I would say at this point, I'd probably ask him for advice. I'd be like, hey man, look, I want to get the cheapest pair of sunglasses possible. Do you know? I bet he's going to have an answer for that. Where should I vacation? He's going to have an answer. And this is one of these people that whether you love or hate him, since he's always winning, I don't know if that's like, you know, when you copy the trades of like an investor, if this is the way, you know how they say never bet against America? That I already have. I don't bet against this guy, dude. When people were talking about the genocide or the war, everything is valid. I was always like, dude, I think he's going to get exactly what he wants. I don't think anything is going to change that. If you can't bet against him, I'm not even saying you should join him, but I'm just saying, like, dude, you got to look at them. You've got to look back and be like, God damn, dude, how the fuck did he do? Who does he have on his side to do this? This is a crazy, you know, there's a great documentary called BB's War that I watched. It's on PBS. It's a very, very good documentary, dude. Definitely worth watching because this guy has been winning his whole life. The only bad thing that's happened to him was his brother died. So I understand why this young man asked for Benjamin Netanyahu's help when he's in trouble. Let's continue. I wanted to show you this, dude. The American slop, bro. The American slop of raw milk and the well and all this stuff has spread. Now we can say for sure. there's an English soul bra. Now, I know soul bra is not from America, but he's functionally American, okay? They have a soul bra now who's English. So let's watch here.
So we had to buy land because, well, you know, Satan worshipping pedos run the world and want to turn cities into digital prisons. And we had to become farmers because, well, you know, those same people are going to centralise the food system, ban meat and force everyone to eat genetically modified low-carbon crickets. And we had to dig a well because, well, you know, tap water is recycled from people's toilets, poisoned with fluoride and filled with chemicals that makes frogs go gay. And we definitely had to homeschool the kids because, well, you know, the mainstream education system is designed to crush a child's spirit and turn them into an obedient slave that unquestioningly plugs into the control system. And that was before they started teaching that there's 147 genders. And we had to build a like-minded community because no one is surviving Agenda 2030 solo. If you also want to split some acres with a like-minded community, go off-grid, homeschool the kids and grow all your own food, just comment, join, and we'll help you make it happen. So
this is a cult, right? He started a cult. That's what he did, right? He started a cult. He's confessing to starting a cult right now. I bet you need a license for that, sir. I bet you need a license. You started a cult. And I can see the language, dude, because all cult talk is hypnotic. So you can see, well, you know, like he's using pacing statements, leading statements, and then pacing statements, right? And he's giving you an explanation as to why he's doing what he's doing. That is going to be listen, man, I can't live like this. I can't live like this. I really can't. I don't care. I get it. Look, the water is not good, right? The water is not good. I'm not going to invest in the carbon reverse osmosis thing. I'm not. I'm going to buy Fiji water. I know it gets hot. It's probably better than the tap water. I'll buy some San Pellegrino. I'm not doing this. I'm not tearing up my life and opening a well. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to become a yeoman farmer. It's like Thomas Jefferson is winning from the grave, where people's aspirations now are to be look, I grow rosemary and tomatoes. The tomatoes are not very good, but the rosemary is very good, you know? But this is clearly a cult. And, well, you know, that's also, it's called, fuck, dude, what are these? Embedded commands. Like, he's using embedded commands. That's like when I say, you're going to love this, pause. And then I continue, I'm priming you for something. I'm priming you to receive something in a specific mood. So I don't know, dude. Like, I guess this I get it. I get it. I don't like eating slop. I don't like drinking slop. I wouldn't send my kids to a regular school. I'd just fucking sit them down with the bot. Why wouldn't you just give them Gemini and say, hey, Gemini, teach them how to do this? It's more useful than whatever the fuck they're going to learn at school. But regardless, you don't need the cult aspect of it. This is going to end up with wife swapping and weird shit. That's always how this goes. It always goes that way. Let's continue, man. Let's continue. No, we're going to skip that. I wanted to show here, dude, like, this is Lauren Chen. I have never liked... Afra says, is that basically the being Amish? I think that's what it is. And the Amish are inbred. The Amish, I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that because in Venezuela, we had an Amish community and the government stepped in and said, you have to stop inbreeding. You have the highest rate of Down syndrome in the world. And they made them, I'm not saying, look, man, if you want to live your life, that's cool. I think inbreeding is where we draw the line, right? Inbreeding is not a good idea. You know, inbreeding's not... Is that too far to say in the big 2026 that you probably shouldn't be inbreeding? Inbreeding is probably not healthy for you. I think if there should be one law, let me check with the libertarians really quick. Excuse me, libertarians. Is it okay to make inbreeding illegal? Oh no, it violates the non-aggression principle. Let me kill myself. No, what inbreeding should be illegal. It should be illegal. They should send the feds after you if you're inbreeding. That's not a good idea. Whatever, man. You want to inbreed, go inbreed. I guess. Just get your freak of a kid away from my kid, dude. I don't want to look at some deliverance ass fucking squeal like a pig, boy. That's how that's gonna end up. Squeal like a pig, wife swapping, and then they're gonna blame them for some terrorist attack. That's literally what's gonna happen to them. I can tell you exactly. You are going to move off the land. The government is going to say that you did something illegal. They're going to come in and they're going to discover that you're wife swapping and inbreeding, and then you're all going to go to jail. Yeah, you're all going to be in jail. How do you like being in jail? Whatever. I did not see Dave Smith on inbreeding, but all right. Now we have to talk about Lauren Chen. This woman, dude, I don't know how the court case turned out. I recently saw her talk about it. I'm still going with the Russian operation. I used to like Lauren Chen when I was like a young adult. I was like, back when I was retarded, I'm like, oh, Lauren Chen is like kind of interesting or whatever. She's back on Twitter. Okay. If you don't remember, she was arrested for... She's a Canadian citizen that was paying Tim Pool, etc., with Russian funds to fund Tenet Media. I don't know if that was shown in court. I have no idea. Whatever. But she's back on social media, and I think she's just trying to make a name for herself again. So we're going to watch her here because, of course, thank you, Richard Spencer and Nick Fuentes, for telling people that talking about the Super Bowl halftime show is gay. Okay, dude, I didn't see anyone else say it. I saw libs being like, it's the greatest show ever. I saw the conservatives saying that we should string Bad Bunny up by the ankles. The only two people who didn't care about it were these two. I didn't see anyone else besides them and me. Here she is doing a commentary on, by the way, she's Chinese. She's from Hong Kong. Let's see her here entering the culture war about the Super Bowl, or I don't fucking know, dude.
So with Bad Bunny's halftime show and everything going on with ICE, it seems like a memo went out to progressives that apparently Spanish is now a language of resistance. Excuse me, but what? You guys do understand why Latin America speaks Spanish, right? It's because Spanish colonizers, Europeans from Spain, came over to the New World, and they then proceeded to colonize so hard that all of the native populations forgot their own language and started speaking Spanish. Seriously, Spain and France were colonial powers too, so it's never made sense to me why the United Kingdom and by extension American English get all the hate. And I actually posted about this on Twitter, and the response that I got from some Latin American people was that, oh, well, they didn't colonize us, you see, we're actually part Spanish, so it's different. And it's like, no, you cannot play that card. You cannot simultaneously claim to be both oppressed and oppressor. It just doesn't work like that. But I mean, go ahead and speak Spanish, I guess. It's just, you're not making the point that I think you're trying to.
I always wonder how dumb this goyim sometimes can be.
I think we're gonna have to. I don't understand how the United States has lived with Mexico on its border for 250 years, and we still don't understand each other. Latin America and the U.S. We need to fix this. Canadian, again. First of all, you're from Hong Kong. You're Chinese, okay? You're Chinese, and Hong Kong, you're speaking in English because it was an English colony, and guess what? China took it over a few years ago. You are Chinese. You're a Chinese Canadian. That's what you are. Why are you telling Americans how to feel about Latin Americans? You should go back to China or Canada. You should get out. Because listen, man. We're in this hemisphere together, bro. We have to love each other. We have to get past this. I don't want to go into the intricacies of it. Yeah, I'm just going to drop this truth nuke here. This truth nuke. Did you know that Spain was colonized for hundreds of years by the Moors? What? Oh my God. That spoke Arabic? It was called Al-Andalus? and they still speak Castilian Spanish. So that makes it a language of resistance by default. And in Latin America, I think that what happens here is that the Canadian mind cannot comprehend what it's like to not have like Native American reservation. I don't know how they do it up there. They're always bitching up there, the liberals, about how they like abuse the Indians. I'm sure that's true. I'm not saying that it's not true. But I think that some people really don't understand. I've seen this happening on Twitter a lot more, where people are saying like, dude, the Latino Twitter, because now it's being translated, like, I don't get what's going on. They hate each other down there. Like, they don't really like each other, and we think they're all Mexicans. And it's like, yeah, dude, it's very different. So this Canadian Americans, to the real American patriots, you're gonna let some Chinese Canadian tell you how to feel about your Latin American brothers and sisters? You're gonna allow this interloper to come in and tell you how to feel about your brothers? You're in the OAS. You're in the UN. We can all get along. You have military bases in Colombia. You have military bases. We can all get along. And we're gonna let some Canadian from out of town come in and tell us how to treat each other? Fuck you, Lauren Chen. Who are you to tell us what we're gonna do? What are you gonna tell us? We are Americans. Mark Carney, come get this bitch. Come arrest her, Mark Carney, for taking Russian money or whatever. Let's continue. This is great to show here, man. Zoran Mamdani. Zoran, I know we have people in New York. How you doing, late personality? Look. I'm really confused as to what people living in New York City want. I can't tell if this is conservatives that are sour that Zoran won, or, just regular people. I guess there's some problem with the snow. Firstly, I would say it's snow. What are you supposed to do about it? But secondly, I would say you live in New York. Okay? You live in New York. You live in New York. Why are you mad at the government over weather? Your government killed tens of thousands of old people 6 years ago. That's what the government did. Why do you think that whether it's Zoran Mamdani or anyone else, that they would be able to pick up the snow? They've proven to you that they are incompetent to the point of homicide. Why would they ever be able to deliver for you? Okay. And we've seen a lot of these videos here, man, where these New Yorkers are just so mad at Zoran. Let's watch here.
This is Brooklyn. 20 minutes on one block. Double park, trucks, cars, piles of ice. Nobody could live a normal life anymore. This is the new reality. Mamdani's New York. You cannot live a normal life anymore. Going one block to the other block. You can't go anywhere in under 2 hours.
Well, I see Dane. Oh, Dane became a member. Thank you, Dane. I appreciate that. Let's get some air horns for that. Thank you, Dane. I appreciate that. Means a lot. Means a lot. Also, remember, we do have the Patreon, which is, I'll take anything, man. But Patreon is, you do get the King Leo Movie Club for $5. With the $2 tier on YouTube, you don't. If you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe. Consider becoming a member. Appreciate you, Dane. Listen. Why don't you, and maybe I'm wrong here because we deal with hurricanes in Florida. Hit the shovel. Like, what do you want? No one is coming to save you. You're admitting that Zoran can't do it. You're admitting that. So why are you, I don't understand what you want Zoran Mamdani to do for you. Get a shovel and start cleaning it. When there's a hurricane here in Florida, sure, the National Guard shows up and everything, but the first couple of days, it's like, everybody, let's get our shit together. Everyone in the neighborhood, start getting the tree trunks. Who has the trucks? We'll use the trucks. Why don't you hit the shovel? I'm not defending Zoran Mamdani here. I'm literally wondering what this impotent yelling at the sky, screaming is supposed to do. Sarah, they want big government. Right. Do you want big government? You know, get a shovel and start. What are you going to do? Like, just yell at Zoran for something? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? He's not coming to save you, dude. He's busy trying to make the buses free or something. I don't know what the progress is on that. And speaking of this, I want to show you this response here, man, just to show you where the minds. I appreciate you, Dane. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you a lot. That keeps the lights on, Dane, so I appreciate it. Everyone become a member. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to. But if you do, it's greatly appreciated. Breaking: Trump administration is dramatically expanding effort to revoke U.S. citizenship for foreign-born Americans as it works to curb immigration. Now, look, I recently spoke to someone who's a friend who was explaining to me what's actually going on with immigration. And dude, you have to admit, it is kind of silly. I didn't understand what was going on. And we'll get to ICE after this. If you don't have your paperwork in order, and I don't mean like you're illegal, I mean, say you're going through a legal process or something that started a few years ago, and you're going to the courthouse, what they've discovered is that they can like arrest you before you go into the courthouse because they're like, oh, your papers aren't finalized. A couple Irish people have been deported because of this, like people who own businesses, where they show up at the court. And now we have this where they're going to revoke citizenship from foreign-born Americans, which would be like people like my parents. I doubt they can do this. I doubt they can do this. Dude, my mom is so happy with Trump because of the Venezuela thing. How could he deport her? She's so happy, you know. But I don't think what I like here is to look at the reply here of this is like a 4,000 followers. It's a bigger account that's called America. Okay, America. You know, I love America. I love it so much. South Carolina. They made this: denaturalize and deport Mehdi Hassan, Zoran Mamdani, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Linda Sarsour, Hassan Piker, Cenk Uygur, Amru Fudo, DBA, Myron Gaines. I do agree with the last one. I'm just wondering here, there's some like vintage people here. Do you remember Linda Sarsour? I forgot who she was. When you make this with the AI, is it just like, are you gooning? This is not going to happen. This is not, if they are doing denaturalizations, they're not going to go after Zoran Mamdani or Mehdi Hassan or Ilhan Omar. They're not going to do that. They're not going to, maybe Hassan Piker and Amru Fudo, you know, Myron Gaines. But why are you making this with AI? I literally picture a guy who should be opening another tab to a prawn video. Like, why would you 97 likes? I know that's not significant, but it reveals a mental issue where people don't want things to happen. They want to think about things happening that will never happen. Just gooning. We have the best gooners, folks. Let's move on to ICE. This is a short segment, okay? ICE today, this was interesting. So ICE cucked, as you'd expect. I actually learned about this through Nick Fuentes' Twitter, ironically. Here we have ICE. Tom Homan has announced the full withdrawal of ICE from Minnesota. Let's watch.
With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week.
Firstly, I have to say, I don't know what's wrong with Tom Homan must have some money or something, right? What I'm confused about here is Bovino had that like Nazi coded or Nazi coded, to quote Gavin Newsom. He had that badass jacket, right? That custom CBP jacket. It was cool looking, you know? Tom Homan, look at how poorly fitting this suit is. This is like a 60-year-old man. He doesn't have an excuse of being like a Gen Zer or something. Why is this suit so poorly fitting? Look at this. Look at how bad it looks. This is Donald Trump is not going to like that, sir. He's not. So he announces here that they're withdrawing from Minnesota. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, they announced that they were going to do another one in Pennsylvania after fucking Shapiro went off. That was like a couple weeks ago. I don't even know if that started. Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? I don't even understand why they were doing it to begin with. Mostly in terms of we're doing analysis on this show, dude, for political capital. I mean, you get all these hype edits and stuff, but this is really astonishing to me that they would announce it publicly, because it just kind of looks like a retreat. And guys, whether you love or hate illegal immigrants and all this, I don't know if this makes it very good looking. You know, why wouldn't you just like slowly pull back the ICE agents? This is a total. So what I think here is, in my view, I asked Gemini about it. It said it's plausible. What's possible here is that Trump is just pissed at him, and he's like, listen, Homan, you're fucking up my midterms with this stupid shit. Bavino, you're fucking up my midterms. And so now they're being humiliated because he doesn't want to be anywhere near it. I don't know. I really am confused. And I wanted to show you here this report. It's a little bit of a longer report, but I think it's worth watching. We're going to put this at 1.5 speed, actually. Let's start doing that, dude. I know you guys can follow along at 1.5. This is CNN talking about this young woman who was shot 5 times by ICE. And I've said it repeatedly, and I know some people disagree, but guys, these are like Keystone Cops. This was in, where was this? This was CBP. This was CBP, even worse. This is Border Patrol. This is really pathetic. This happened in Chicago. And I'm astounded at how the government just lies about this stuff. You know? So, everything says, I'm in favor to deport Chen's nephew to China. How you doing, sir? How's New York? How's the snow up there? So let's watch here what happened. Because now we're starting to get court documents. Now I'm happy to talk about it because we're starting to get real information.
This is newly released body camera video. A team of 3 Border Patrol agents is driving through a Southside Chicago neighborhood. 2 have guns drawn. Marimar Martinez, an American citizen and school teacher, is driving next to them, honking her horn, warning people to the presence of federal immigration enforcement. Another vehicle is behind the agents, also honking the horn.
All right, it's time to get aggressive and get the out. Because they're trying to box us in.
It all happens in seconds.
Now, first of all, before we continue, I told you guys from the start, don't do this shit. Don't ever follow cops. Avoid police at all costs. I don't know why. What possessed this woman to do this? Do not do this. This is a bad idea. Never do it. Don't do it.
All right, we're fine, man. All right, out of the car. Be advised, we've been struck. We've been struck.
Martinez was shot 5 times and survived. In this surveillance video, you can see the front of the agent's SUV come to a stop. 4 seconds later, Martinez's silver Nissan drives off, she says, fearing for her life. The Department of Homeland Security was quick to accuse her of attacking federal law enforcement, saying Border Patrol agents were, quote, ambushed by domestic terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. FBI Director Kash Patel posted on social media about the incident, quote, attack our law enforcement and this FBI will find you and bring you to justice. The post also included a link to video of a car ramming, but it had no connection to Martinez's.
This has to be illegal after this term, man. That the FBI is just tweeting, prejudicing the whole country, hurting things. Like, the FBI can't be on Twitter. Do you think J. Edgar Hoover would have a Twitter account? He'd be on Grindr for sure. But I don't think he'd have a Twitter account. This is bad, man. This is bad. This needs to go away, that the FBI is tweeting. We can't have this. We cannot have this. Let's watch here, man. Let's watch.
Case. And the body camera video tells a different story. In the lead up to the collision, you hear agents say they are going to collide with Martinez.
We're going to make contact and we're boxed in.
And just before the moment of impact, it's Agent Charles Exum who sharply turns his steering wheel in the direction of Martinez. Proof, according to her attorney, that they hit her vehicle, not the other way around. And as for the claim of being boxed in, this surveillance video calls that comment into question, with nothing in the path ahead of the border agent's vehicle. The court also released text messages and emails from after the shooting, including one message from Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, just hours after the incident, offering to delay the retirement of Agent Exum, who shot Martinez. In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much left to do. And then a text message exchange between Agent Exum and someone whose name was redacted. Are they supportive? Someone asked. Big time. Everyone has been, including Chief Bovino, Chief Banks, Secretary Noem, and El Jefe himself. In various texts to and from fellow agents, the mood was celebratory. Good job, brother. You are a legend among agents. You better effing know that. Beers on me when I see you at training. That's awesome. You did real good. Damn it, man. Good shooting. The day after the shooting, Martinez was in...
These agents, man, we can conclude now for sure. These people are genuinely stupid people. I'm not making a judgment on who they... I'm making a judgment not on what they look like or even how they comport them. These are stupid people. You don't have to be a lawyer to know that you shouldn't write good shooting after someone has just been killed. I don't think that that's like fascinating, smart information for you or the person who did the shooting. I get it. You have qualified immunity. These people are not intelligent. And this looks pathetic. This looks like a clown car. It looks like Keystone Cops, man. It looks like Keystone Cops. I see Afra asked a question. What happens when people no longer trust law enforcement? Also, did you see... I'll answer you first here, Afra. I think we're already here in terms of this is coming out now because these files are being released now. This is so stupid on its face that, guys, whether you're left wing or right wing, it doesn't really matter. I'm a Baudrillardian. You watch this and you're like, dude, there's no way you're this stupid. Putting the shooting aside, how do you send this text message? How do you do that? This is so stupid. Now, in regards to the shooting, the fact that they're just lying is... I don't know. I'm not in a jury room. CNN obviously has their own spin. They're showing the guy ramming the car of the civilian. But this is a bad look. The fact CNN can even do this is not a good... It's not good for you. It's not good. Guys, I don't... Dude, wherever you stand on the issue, it's really silly what they're doing here. You can't be shooting people 5 times. And I would even give you this. If she was shot 5 times and she died, expired, unfortunately, maybe you can send a text message if you're really feeling cruel or something. But she survived. So is it even a good shooting? I know that's crass, but is it even a good shooting? This retard shot a woman 5 times and she survived. What do you mean it's a good... These people are stupid. These people, I really feel like these are... Dude, this feels like the brown shirts. And I don't mean that in some trite way. I mean it in the way of the essay was just a bunch of thuggish idiots. That's why Hitler had them murdered. Because these people are genuinely stupid. And all they do is make me look bad. This is so bad. Look, how do you shoot someone 5 times and they survive? I would like to know that first. I'm not saying I wish this woman died. I think she was doing something stupid. Don't do this. But whatever. Let's say that she rammed into them and they shot her 5 times and she survived. What is this? A grandma aiming or something? What is going on here? These guys are so incompetent that they don't even have the firearms training to kill someone by shooting them literally 5 times. If you had 5 times of hits on someone, and you saw in the video, they have sights on their guns. They have like a little, I assume like $1,000 Trijicon sight, a red dot. 5 times, and you can't kill her. You shouldn't be a police officer because you're fucking stupid, actually, because you can't qualify on the shooting range. Just on that basis. These people, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if the libs go after these people. I don't know if they can, but maybe if they're like, we don't want to pay these pensions out in the future, you can't do this. You can't get away with this. And I'm not saying with the crime or non-crime. I'm saying with the stupidity around this. The Keystone Cops should be in jail. They should be in jail for being stupid Keystone Cops. Imagine if a cop walked into a bar with a baton and just started beating people's heads in. What would happen to that cop? He would be fired. They would say, hey, you're making us look bad. But there's no public relations department. There's no one that says, hey, this is making us look bad. So yes, Ephra, I think that we are going to lose total confidence in policing of all levels, if it's not gone already, because this is so sick and stupid. If the mass shooting stuff like the Uvalde cowards that didn't go in was already doing, now you see the other side of policing, which is if you hire a bunch of people off the street that are stupid, they will shoot someone 5 times and not even be able to kill them, which is already on its face ridiculous. And then they're going to text each other that it was a good shooting, and then it's going to be revealed that the woman didn't even do what they said. And no, I did not see the conclusion of the Guthrie suspect. I did not. Let me look that up. Is this the hostage thing that we're talking about? Guthrie update. I have not seen it. Oh, I saw the pictures of this today, but I haven't looked into it. I'm going to catch up on it, Ephra. Interesting. I'm going to look into it. But that whole case, what I had seen the commentaries that the whole thing is weird, but I'm going to look into it. I was waiting for it to end because I didn't want to comment on it while it's happening, So I have no idea what's going on. I had everything says everybody's just schizo at this point. Yeah, dude, even including the cops. Excuse me, including the cops, because nothing else explains this behavior rather than you being like a schizophrenic police officer. Is this a personal phone or a work phone? I don't know, dude, but if you send this on any phone, you're stupid. On any phone. These people nowadays, we see this shift towards being obsessed with privacy, especially on the conservative side. I remember 10 years ago, I went to a cigar shop in Ybor City in Tampa. And it was on the news that they were doing some Patriot Act type shit. And the owner of the cigar shop was like, well, I have nothing to hide. Like some 6-year-old Florida cracker. And I'm like, wow, what a cuck, And now they care about privacy. Now the conservatives care about privacy. But they know that, dude, I at this point, you have to know whether it's your work or personal phone, and you're a cop that's involved in a shooting. It's probably going to get subpoenaed. It will probably get subpoenaed, of course. And someone bring in Bukele says, I had everything. Dude, Bukele, the police down there, even if they go overboard at times, they don't do stuff like this that makes them look terrible, dude. Like, it doesn't look that bad. This is surprised that this is the way it's looking in America. Iron Hammer Ford says something. I think everyone in the situation got what they were looking for. A lady wanted to be penetrated and cops wanted to be. I know it's a joke and it's funny. But what I'm saying is, I think you're correct in the sense of everyone involved in the situation is stupid. Everyone involved in this. And I get it. I feel for the woman. I don't wish on anyone getting shot 5 times. If you're going to get shot 5 times, I think you probably should expire because you're going to have like all sorts of problems later in life. If you get shot 1 time, I'm speaking from personal experience. If I get shot 5 times, I probably don't want to go on. 5 times? Are you kidding me? That's going to hurt. You're going to get lead poisoning or something at some point. 5 times? One of those probably hits your liver. So that you're living on like half a liver. The other one, maybe you're lucky, it doesn't hit an artery. 5 times, I want to go. I don't want to be around. But whatever. But I'm not saying she wanted to get shot or anything, but everyone here is playing a stupid game and they're all getting stupid prizes. And last thing in regards to immigration, I just want to show you this because just to show you that the Democrats are just as retarded. Here is Steve Cohen, who's a representative, talking about illegal immigrants. Let's see how he sounds. Let's see how he's talking. This is great for the Hispanic community, by the way. I love this.
We need people working in the front lines and local law enforcement to protect our citizens from the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst are not the immigrants. The worst of the worst, records show, are native-born Americans.
I want to see Indians or indigenous people get involved at this point, dude. The worst of the worst are native-born Americans. Do you think that makes life easier or harder for me? Do you think it makes life easier or harder? When some old white guy Stephen Cohen is here in Congress saying, hey, white people, the Hispanics are better than you. Do you think, for me personally, thinking selfishly, do you think that makes my life better? Do you think it makes my life better if white people see one of their own in Congress saying that I'm better than he's saying I'm better than his kids? Do you think that is good for society? Do you think that's good for the mental health of society? Because I don't think it, I think it's actually bad. I think it makes people look bad. I think it makes us look bad. I think people are going to say the Hispanics are getting a little too uppity. And I don't want to be cut down. I want to be cut down. Tall trees. What is it? The Japanese thing? Cut down the tall trees or something. I don't want that to happen. So the Democrats are here just saying, this is Radio Hutu shit, man. How do you think white people are going to take this? And how do you think white people are going to look at Hispanic people after this? And this is in the record forever, by the way. So if this country survives, whatever, dude. Let's fucking continue. It's insanity. I wanted to quickly get to John Kiriakou, who we've mentioned on the show before. And I'm really glad to see this happening. I've never been a fan of Mr. Kiriakou. And I've seen this phenomenon this week where he's starting to get memed. Because I don't know if John Kiriakou's lying or telling the truth. I assume all of these people are always lying. By these people, I don't mean Greeks. I mean CIA agents. They're always lying, quite clearly. Like, they are lying to you. And some of them will give you useful information. You know, they give you useful information. But the stories, at least, are so over the top that I think we're starting to see. A lot of people would say, this is why I think it's notable, okay? And for a Badralardian, it's very important. A lot of people would say that, you know, Andrew Bustamante and John Kiriakou and all of these podcasts, Sean Ryan, my nemesis, all of these podcast hosts that are former CIA are part of a psychological operation on the part of the Central Intelligence Agency. That these people are out here in order to promote recruitment or something, whatever. Let's say that's the case. What's happening now is, let's say that's the case. They have told their operatives to tell stories that are so ridiculous that people are now memeing the story. And there are plenty of these that we're seeing. Let's show you some of how people are starting to meme the CIA stories of John Kiriakou.
So he calls me. He said, I'm here. I said, come up to the 8th floor. It was the top floor. Come up to the 8th floor. And he goes, okay. So he comes up to the 8th floor. And we go into the stairwell. And I said, let's go up to the roof. He's like, what? I said, let's go up to the roof. He goes, I don't think I want to go up to the roof. I said, yeah, come on, let's go. He said, I'm uncomfortable going up to the roof. And I said, why?
You think I'm going to throw you off the roof?
Come on, let's go. We'll talk up there.
It's a nice day.
He goes, I don't want to go to the roof. I said,
get up on the fucking roof.
He said, you're scaring me.
I said, and you're pissing me off.
Get up on the roof. I don't think I like this. I don't like it. I don't like it. I go, what's your problem?
I thought we're friends.
You told me last time you were my brother.
What do you think I'm going to do to you up there?
I don't want to go up there. I go, get up on the roof. So one step at a time, he gets up to the roof. I said, now stay here for 5 minutes and meet me in room 515. 5 minutes later.
Who knew all it would take is like some caption? I think this is lens flare filter on Adobe Premiere. And changing the pitch of the voice to make you realize the whole story is ridiculous. But they're doing it to all of his clips. Literally all of their clips.
I was flying from Milan to Eastern Europe one time, and there was this Italian guy next to me who just would not shut his mouth. And he kept asking me, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? And I said, well, I'm involved in the import-export business. Oh, well, what do you import? What do you export? I said, whatever, turns things into money. He just wouldn't stop. And finally, I said, look.
I smuggle women and cigarettes from Eastern Europe, okay? Are you happy now? And he goes, I don't think I approve. I said, I didn't ask for your fucking phone.
I was flying from Milan to Eastern Europe one time, and there was this Italian guy next to me who just would not.
Oh my dude, in the age of AI, all you need for ridicule is like Da Vinci Premiere.
To be fair, the Mossad does do the close-in stuff too.
Yeah, they do.
Like the Mashal one in Jordan.
Yeah.
And what about that one in Dubai? Do you remember that?
Classic. You know, we studied that for a long time. They killed a guy in a hotel room in Dubai. And then after they killed him, they were somehow able to lock the door from the inside.
To be fair, the Mossad does.
These guys, dude, like I don't think there's any coming back from it. This one was great. This one was really good on the PBD show.
Yeah, doctors. There was a doctor who revived Abu Zubaydah when his heart stopped during waterboarding. Revived him.
So he could be tortured more.
And you know that Al Qaeda is planning something big. Because Osama bin Laden said he was planning something that would dwarf 9/11, right? And you've got to get the information before the bomb goes off. So you say, hey, Abu Zubaydah, give me the information. He's like,
fuck you.
I'm not going to give you the information. So what do?
Do you waterboard him?
Do you sleep deprive him? Do you put him in a cold cell? Do you beat him? Do you put cockroaches on him? Do you
put hummus up his ass?
What do? Now, the problems with that are severalfold. First of all,
Do you put hummus up his ass? I'm very glad, dude. I hope this happens to Sean Ryan. I really do. I don't hate Kiriakou. I will admit that. I think he's like, at least he did the torture report leak. If that was real, I don't even know, dude. I don't trust Edward Snowden even. I think all these guys are in on it. I love this. I think this is very good. I've been wanting to talk about it all week. And I think it's important to show that, dude, I think the CIA op may be failing because the stories, this is why I always had a problem with them, with Kiriakou and with Andrew Bustamante, is you listen to these stories and they're speaking in this way where everything is supposed to wash over you. You know, it's literally hypnosis, dude. He's admitted that they train with hypnotists. Okay. And I'm not surprised. You should go become a hypnotist, by the way. You can do it on Mike Mandel Academy. I'm not sponsored by them. That's what I'm taking my test this week. My final test. Become a hypnotist because you can get a lot more done. It's good shit. You are literally just talking and talking and talking and talking to get past my cognitive faculty and then say retarded shit, you know? I'm very glad to see that people are starting to point out the ridicule, and it requires, this isn't like, this isn't stupid, or I know the person who made it was probably a joke, but it's very smart to ridicule by slowing down and speeding up, showing how these pacing and leading statements are all bullshit. And it's all part of one thing in order to drive you nuts, in order to get you to work for the CIA or be afraid all the time. So when he's ridiculed like this, I have to say, despite just being funny, I'm very happy to see it. I'm very happy to see. I've never been able to take him seriously, dude. Kiriakou really strikes me as a guy that all the stories have to be bullshit. And I think that's why Joe Rogan didn't interview him for years, because all the stories sound like bullshit. They don't sound anything like something that would happen in real life. Oh, you don't know about the darkness of the world. Okay, I guess I don't know about the darkness of the world. Whatever. I don't really give a shit. These stories sound ridiculous. You're talking about how they shot someone on the Greek highway and it was meant for you. And I just don't believe it. There's no way to confirm or fact check any of these stories. They have that advantage where they can say, oh, I can't prove it to you or whatever. What are you doing? So I think the CIA op of Sean Ryan, John Kiriakou, etc., is coming to an end, because once you find the tactic, you can use it for anything. I hate everything. How you doing, Full Hat? Be cool to know someone from the CIA, but at the same time, I couldn't. Brother, there is not a better decision I've taken in my life than that time. I told you this happened 2 New Years ago. I was on a balcony in downtown Miami, and I met Mike Benz. He was there at this private party, and I talked to him for a little bit, and this is before he had really blown up, and I was like, this guy's an interesting fella. he's cool, like he knows what he's talking about in regards to like CIA and all this. And I like to talk about that shit. And then I read his bio and I was like, Fed, I don't want his number ever. I don't want to be associated with this person. Because now he's defending Jeffrey Epstein on Joe Rogan. So I'm glad I'm not connected to that. I don't think that you can lose much by getting rid of feds in your circle. I mean, I would be crying too if a CIA agent would tell me to go on the roof. Those are warning signs and everything. Yeah, true. Are you a CIA agent, Leo? I am not. I will fully admit, though, that I did want to work for the CIA when I was like 17 through the age of 19. I was really curious about working for the CIA. Just some little lore. And I went to college at FIU, which is like, it's a big Fed school, dude. Like there's Cuban operations there and there's American operations and Russian operations, because a lot of people that go there in South Florida get to influence a lot of people because it's a big school in South Florida. It's probably more important than the University of Miami, despite being public. And I was there, and I remember I studied international relations, and I was like, dude, I can do this or whatever. Like, this would be cool to work for the CIA. And then the more I got to meet the people in the program, first I realized everyone else here is retarded. Everyone, dude, I shit you not, bro. I was an introduction to international relations. And this girl raises her hand because they're asking us what we want to do with our lives. This girl raises her hand. She's wearing glasses. She's skinny. And she goes, this is in the woke era, by the way. She goes, I want to be the first woman Puerto Rican human rights lawyer at the United Nations. And I'm just looking at her like, you dumb bitch. Like, you're an introduction to international relations. Why are you even, you haven't thought about this at all. Like, you are stupid. You're stupid. This is probably a reason that I got like turned against Puerto Ricans even more, where I was like, you're stupid. What? Why would you? You're not going to be the UN lawyer for human rights. You're not. You're not going to be the first Puerto Rican woman UN. Do you know someone at the UN? You don't. So you're just stupid. And anyway, I met more people at the program, right? In particular, I met this guy who I think was ex-CIA, dude. He was like this American black guy. And he was talking about coups and all this stuff. No, she wasn't AOC. No. And what I realized, especially in the woke era, was I was like, oh, being at the CIA means that I have to go make everyone in Namibia trans. Now, I don't have a problem with trans people or anything, but I'm just like, that would be my job. My job would be to make Namibians trans. I think I can do something that's, I don't want to be thinking, how does the Namibian brain work? How can I make them transsexuals? Like, that's what I realized. It was like, oh, the CIA is that. It's trying to get food aid into Venezuela. And I'm not Tucker Carlson. I'm not a connoisseur of the LGBT community, you know? Like, I don't know much about that stuff. I don't have a problem with it. But I was like, dude, if I had to like figure out how to legalize gay marriage or stuff in Namibia, I'm not really interested. There's other stuff to do. So what's the point of this? Like, this guy, I have nothing against trans people, dude. And I hope that if there's trans people in Namibia, they're not getting like thrown off a bridge or something. But I'm not there to, my goal in life is not to make other people trans. I have other aspirations. So, you know, it's like, it's a silly, I see people doing this, say it's a shitty, evil job. That's what I realized is, because I thought it would be cool. I thought it would be like the Cold War, where whether they're evil or good, you're like, how do I coup this government? Who do I have to get to turn over here? You know, something interesting. And then you're like, oh, 2025 CIA is sitting in a room with some psychologist probably, being like, how can we make Namibians accept, I don't know, like hormone replacement therapy? That is so shitty and boring. Like, what is the point of doing that? Anyway, we have to move on. That's some lore. That's some lore. Un-Catholic activity. That is true. They have done some un-Catholic activities. They killed in El Salvador. What was his name? The Archbishop. And the nuns. Don't ever forget that. I know which CIA commercial you're talking about, sir. Yes, absolutely. All right. Let's get into this, man. We got to get into Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson. Good night, Fohat. I miss you, man. Tucker Carlson is doing Tucker Carlson is doing another pivot. Okay. As I said at the beginning, he started off as a neocon, then as like a paleoconservative, then I guess as a Stalinist with Chris Williamson saying that Juche thought is the only surviving ideology. And then he was the J.D. Vance guy, and then he was the Nick Fuentes guy, and then he was the Milo Yiannopoulos guy. And today he interviews Ron Paul. Okay. Now I understand there may be fans of Ron Paul here. That's okay, you know. Not a huge fan of Ron Paul myself. He didn't have that big of an impact on me personally. He didn't. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that crying about capital reserve requirements is an election strategy. I'll go Trump. I don't like people that lose. Okay. I don't get Ron Paul. I don't get what he's done that is so good. Oh, he made Dave Smith a libertarian. Well, then he should be in jail for that because Dave Smith is annoying. So he made Dave Smith. He should be in jail. If you were responsible for making Dave Smith, it's not Dave Smith's fault. It's the people who made him. So you made Dave Smith out here be annoying to me. You know, so that you're a problem for me. You've never been? You know. So anyway, I'm very curious as to this shift that Tucker is doing because now I don't know if it's an attack on Trump's castle. I can't tell anymore. And I appreciate the chat steps in because I don't understand what the goals of Tucker Carlson are. Because it seems like he's opening a 5-front war against Trump with J.D. Vance, with James Fishback, with the Groypers, with the counter Groypers that don't like Trump, like Milo, and now with Ron Paul. So now we have like a 5-front war against Trump. In the process, by the way, by introducing his audience to a completely new ideology every other week, most people who I assume are older, he's making them crazy. Because they're going, oh, Tucker Carlson is a libertarian, Stalinist, Juche thought, anarcho-capitalist, Groyper, paleo-libertarian, captive dreamer, conservative, paleo-conservative, Pat Buchanan fan, hates George Bush guy. So that's probably not healthy for you. That's probably not healthy to follow anyone like that because you're just going to get whiplash on ideology. So let's watch a little bit here. I think the monologue is the most important part.
If you can judge a man by his enemies, former Congressman Ron Paul of Texas, the long-retired obstetrician, the 90-year-old 3-time member of Congress and 3-time presidential candidate, is a very, very good man because he has the best enemies. Here, for example, is an exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and one of his friends. This takes place in early 2012 when there is conversation, as there pretty much always is in the United States for the last 30 years, about when and how we should bomb Iran.
By the way, I do want to mention something before we get into this. And I'm not saying this to denigrate him. I'm not saying it. Ron Paul, I understand why people like him. However, I have not forgotten the Ron Paul newsletter scandal. Okay, for anyone that doesn't remember, it was these newsletters that were sold for money. Some of them were authored by Ron Paul potentially, that were published in the 90s, I believe. Okay, these newsletters were very controversial, I think in his 2008 run, because they came out and they were written in this like very strange way. Like, for example, it was all libertarian, right? But if I were writing a newsletter on Stand Your Ground, I would say, how to use Stand Your Ground to keep your family safe. The titles of these newsletters were like, how to kill black people and get away with it. I don't remember the exact titles. And then it would go into Stand Your Ground. It would be like, Stand Your Ground law protects you from this. So if you ever wanted to, you know, they never proved whether Ron Paul wrote them or not. However, I'll give you a little lore here that I learned from a guy whose father was in the Klan in South Florida in the 70s. His kid was like, he turned out to be like a lib or something. I don't remember. I met this guy in a bar in downtown Miami. And I was talking to him, right? And I'm not saying the Klan for no reason, right? Because what I'm saying is there was an event that's very under discussed. There was an attempted coup of the government of Dominica, which is not the Dominican Republic. Dominica is an English-speaking island in the Caribbean whose population is primarily black. And they attempted to coup this independently from Louisiana. They had like weapons caches that they were going to go over and take over this. Ironically, with the help of the previous prime minister who was black, the whole island is basically black, okay? And the people involved were white supremacists. I'm not using that word like spurious or whatever. They were like Klan members and shit. And it seems like David Duke and Ron Paul were somehow connected to it. However, we don't have enough information to know for sure. But rest assured, if you read about it, you will read mention of Paul's name. And so this like lovable OBGYN from Texas thing has always made me a little uncomfortable because I would like to know what Ron Paul was doing back then. Maybe he's completely innocent, but they always focus on Ron Paul from like 2000 through now. But I've always been suspicious of him because of this history. And most people don't know this, but look it up. Like, you can find this on the internet. And I would like to know, you know, besides Dave Smith, what else has Ron Paul created? A botched coup attempt out of Louisiana for Dominica on the behalf of white supremacy? That was for a black guy? You know, I would like to know. So I'm just going to say, maybe that'll explain why I'm not so into Ron Paul. Okay? Let's continue about how Ron Paul was right about everything.
Ron! And Epstein's friend writes to him this: during an election year, everyone in Congress is falling all over themselves to show support for Israel, except for that dinkus Ron Paul. Ron Paul! Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein and his friends did not like Ron Paul. But what's not to like about Ron Paul? Ron Paul is, and you're going to see him speak in just a moment, probably one of the most manifestly decent men ever to serve in the Congress. Married to the same woman since 1957, beloved by his children, grandchildren, now great-grandchildren. A man who spends his spare time riding his bicycle and tending roses. A person who has articulated the principles of nonviolence throughout his entire public career. A guy who thinks that it is not just unfashionable, but totally immoral to judge people on the basis of their blood, who thinks racism and anti-Semitism are anti-Christian. Guy's never said a single thing against a group, ever, not once.
See, and the lady doth protest too much, dude. I really want to see Ron Paul address these newsletters, man. I'm tired my whole life, dude, because I'm an older Zoomer. My first encounters with Ron Paul were like millennials being like, dude, this guy's the best. He's so cool. He's lost every election. Thank you. I love when people lose elections that are cool. That's great stuff. Whatever. Putting that aside, I want to know, dude, I don't know if it's because libertarians are too autistic. Don't you want to know about this person? How can you listen to Ron Paul talk about foreign policy and economics forever? He's going to say, you know exactly what he's going to say. Literally the exact, it's very easy to know what Ron Paul is going to say. So I want to get to know the real Ron Paul, dude. Like, I don't will the real Ron Paul please stand up? Ron Paul, were you writing newsletters about how to kill black people? I would like to know if that's legit. And Tucker saying this, I'm sure it's because he's an older guy who remembers that scandal. And so he has to cover up for it. And everything says Bernie connected to the USSR, Ron Paul connected to that, perfectly balanced. Yeah, I guess the whole government is just, it's competing interests. I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't even know anymore. Like, remember when Russia, it seems like there's a lot of foreign influence in the United States.
In short, a thoroughly decent
or ideological influence.
Man of principle. Why does everyone hate Ron Paul? Well, there are a couple reasons. In fact, I personally discovered this way back in 2007 when I covered Ron Paul. He was running for president that year. I'd actually voted for him 19 years before in 1988 in college for president. I knew nothing about him, but it seemed like an amusing protest vote. He was running as a libertarian then. But fast forward to 2007, he was running in the 2008 presidential campaign, and I thought, this guy looks kind of interesting. I really didn't know much about him, so I went on the road with him.
Look, man, I just looked it up on Gemini. Look, in 96, he defended the newsletters. He did not deny writing them. And then from 2001 onwards, he's been denying them, that he wrote them. So there's no evidence, but he changed the story. This is why I don't trust this. I don't think that this guy, maybe I'm just like the last American with a long-term memory. I don't feel comfortable knowing about you. If this is, dude, if you change your defense, are these letters real? And I don't even mean it because they're racist or whatever. I mean it because I would like to know if you're the most honest man in America, as you're referred to. Because if you can't keep a straight answer on this when you're running for office, how are we supposed to trust anything else you say? Let's watch.
For a week, and I wrote a long profile for the New Republic magazine. I was working in television, but I thought it was kind of interesting to write magazine stories again, so I did. And I learned a couple of things about Ron Paul. One, as noted, enormously nice person, gentle temperament, decent, not flashy, not greedy, not dishonest. Two, I learned that Ron Paul...
That's clearly a swipe at Trump, by the way. This is why I'm telling you this is an attack on Trump. Do you not see how that's an attack? Do I have to explain why that, using those particular words, are an attack on Trump? It's clearly an attack on Trump.
Is very sincere about monetary policy. Paul would give these stem winders about fiat currency and the gold standard and why the Fed was a scam, and he drew enormous crowds, at least relative to the topic. Now, at the time, again, this was 19 years ago, no one was talking about the gold standard in public and getting anything but laughter and jeers. You were a gold bug. You were insane. You were a moron. Gold wasn't even a topic. If you could check the transcripts from CNBC for the year 2007, gold probably not even mentioned. It seemed crazy to care about monetary policy then. But Ron Paul did.
Iron Hammer, I see it says, I like Ron Paul, and I don't think his newsletter were that bad. I don't entirely disagree. I just don't like the change of the story. And I get it. Look, I don't really have a problem with Ron Paul. I have a problem with Ron Paul fans. Not you, Iron Hammer 4. I'm not saying you. I'm saying when people, like what Tucker's doing right now, where they're like, he's the most honest man in America and all this, I think he has some explaining to do about his actions in the late 20th century. You know? That's the issue that I see with it, where you need to be more forthright about what was going on then, you know? But that's my issue with it. I'm not really having an issue with like someone who appreciates Ron Paul. My issue is like people like this that are like, he's the most honest guy in the world. He's just a country doctor. Dude, I want to know the real Ron Paul. I don't know, maybe it's because I have this problem where I don't like when I'm told that someone is honest or something, because it makes me immediately doubt that. And my whole life, this is all I've heard about Ron Paul. If everyone has to say that, it makes me not trust the person. So maybe it's my bias, but I find it a little bit annoying, you know?
And his audiences responded. That was the first thing I noticed. I had no idea this was a resident issue. I knew nothing about it, so I assumed, since I lived in Washington and was pretty well informed, that no one else knew anything about it either, but I was wrong. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, in the end, millions of Americans were thinking about the stability and the strength of the U.S. dollar. And they were convinced that
now I have to tell you something here, because this is why Tucker Carlson to me is such an enigma. We would not have had lockdowns if it weren't for Tucker Carlson. I'm sure you've forgotten that. I'm sure you forgot it. He is the one that convinced Donald Trump to lock down the economy. Do you remember that? I remember that. My producer especially remembers that. He's the one that shut down the economy. He convinced Donald Trump to shut down the economy. Now, look, some people may agree or disagree. Put that aside. We don't get the hyperinflation fiscal stimuluses that we've had and shoddy monetary policy without Tucker Carlson insisting that the economy had to be shut down. Because stimulus checks and all this stuff happened because of him. He is the one who convinced Trump to do this. And now he's going to sit here and talk to you about monetary policy. This is a liar. He is the one who did it. Trump did not want to close the economy. It was him that convinced him. Dude, there is a record of this. Look it up. He is the one that convinced Trump. And now he's going to sit here with a straight face. I remember I was worried about inflation during the lockdown. I was worried about it in June. And I texted a professor friend that I had, never talked to him again because he was like, oh yeah, we'll have 2% increase. Yeah, fuck you, dude. It's like 20. It's like a 20% increase. How am I, a recent college grad, smarter than you? You're a professor. It was him that caused that. So don't talk to me about fucking monetary policy now, Tucker, because you did this. It was you. He's the one who had influence on Trump. He stopped the war in Iran the first time. And he convinced him to shut down the economy. So maybe that colors my distaste here. But I find it hypocritical for him to do that. Efra says, fair, thank you. I appreciate that. And Ivan says, Tucker just goes where the wind blows. That's true. But the problem is that it's not just where the wind blows, is that he sets the agenda in a lot of ways too. So he is an influential voice in the Trump administration. We saw him there with Marco Rubio talking about Venezuela, even though he's against it. So he is like this trickster archetype that I don't understand. And Mr. Elu says, wasn't it greedflation? Greedflation, dude, I don't disagree that greedflation was at least like 30% of the crisis. I completely agree. It's not just greedflation, it's that compounded with American inability to negotiate on price or boycott. Americans are just bad buyers, man. They're bad buyers. Let's continue.
Excessive money printing since the early 1970s, when the dollar was detached from gold, which is to say from reality, when it became a purely fiat currency redeemable for nothing. They were convinced that the U.S. dollar was weaker than their leaders said it was. And they knew this because the price of goods they bought every week seemed to be going up over time, and no one was mentioning it. Or the goods themselves were becoming smaller. There was shrinkage. This is a well-known phenomenon now. Back in 2007, people weren't talking about it quite as much. If you were 37 in 2007, when you were in first grade in this country, a Snickers bar cost 20 cents. By 2007, it cost nearly $1, and
he went down. I looked it up again to remember the exact mechanism. He went to Mar-a-Lago to beg Trump to close the economy. He went and begged for it. And he's going to talk to you about inflation. I think anyone who supported or was against the lockdown recognized that there would be an economic cost. Now, I think a lot of people did not realize how big the cost would be. I kind of knew. Not because I'm smarter, but because it doesn't make any sense what they were doing with the economy. It just didn't make sense, all the printing. Whatever, putting that aside. I don't understand here. I don't understand. You are convinced he has flip-flopped on everything. The vaccine is evil. COVID was a hoax. Now, inflation, it's like they cloned him or something a few years ago, and it's like a totally different. This is crazy to me. I don't get it. How can you look your supporters in the face and spit on them? You are the most responsible culprit for this. You're talking about inflation. Fuck you, dude. You're the one who caused it.
It was smaller. In that and countless other ways, it was obvious that actually this currency wasn't worth what they told us it was, and it was becoming worth less. And only Ron Paul was talking about that. And he was making a number of other points, too. One was that the United States wasn't actually deriving any benefit from all of these foreign wars, that it just wasn't helping us at all, and that in the end, maybe violence isn't the solution. He wasn't making hostile points. He certainly wasn't attacking anyone. He was merely saying this foreign policy, the foreign policy that led us into, say, the Iraq War, and into Syria, and into Libya, and into Vietnam, for that matter, isn't helping our country. It's incredibly wasteful of money and human lives, and it doesn't bring the result they claim it does. And that's basically all Ron Paul said. He mostly wanted to talk about monetary policy and gold. But for the crime of saying what he said about foreign policy.
And this is another criticism I have of Tucker. This one's not original. I heard it from Richard Spencer, but I think I'd introduce you to it. Tucker's claim to fame, claim to authority, is that he was wrong about the Iraq War. That is some real hypnosis, man. That's some real wizard shit. This is one of the best wizards in America right now. You are telling me that I should trust you on foreign policy because you were wrong in the past. Could you imagine a doctor like that? A doctor walks in and you're going to get, I don't know, like a heart transplant, and he's killed all of his patients. He says, listen, man, the reason you should trust me is because I did kill all of my patients, so now I know how to not kill my patients. I'd be a little suspicious. Is that the qualifier to... It's such an odd thing. Like that's how he gets his authority. I was wrong. I haven't seen anyone else do that. And everyone says, Tucker, my goals are beyond your understanding. He's a wizard, dude. He's a wizard. He's a wizard. And I see Dane says, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're new here, guys, make sure you like the video. If you're old here too, make sure you like the video, you comment on the video, watch the latest video on the channel, and subscribe. It helps a lot. Let's watch a little more here because we have to go soon.
Policy, he was truly hated. And the word went out, time to discredit Ron Paul. Well, I had no idea any of this was going on until I filed my story to the New Republic at the end of 2007. And it was kind of skeptical, but amused and affectionate. I liked Ron Paul. Who wouldn't like Ron Paul? What a nice man. I didn't understand some of what he was saying. I didn't agree with other parts of it, but it wasn't hostile. It was kind of detached and amused and sometimes bemused. So I file it, and the editor says, oh, I like the story. Good job. We're done. Then 2 days later, I got a call from that very same editor at the New Republic who said, we have a problem. Ron Paul, it turns out, is a racist and an anti-Semite. And I said, really? I'm not working for Ron Paul. I've got no emotional attachment to the campaign, but he didn't seem like a bigot to me. He seemed like a nice Christian man. Oh, no, the editor said. We sent out a reporter called Jamie Kirchick, a recent Yale graduate, and a fervid neoconservative to go check into Ron Paul's background. And it turns out that he had newsletters back in the 1980s that used racist terms, and we think he's an anti-Semite based on his foreign policy. I said, okay. And so then the author of that piece, Jamie Kirchick, called me and kind of grilled me. You spend time with this man, this bigot? I said, Jamie Kirchick?
This is the same man who said Pat Buchanan was an anti-Semite, by the way. He's literally all over the map, dude. Tucker is a world in his own. Tucker is the Taylor Swift of politics. Tucker Carlson is Taylor Swift. Tucker Carlson should do an Eras tour, dude, And he goes through like his neocon era, his calling Pat Buchanan an anti-Semite era, his calling fucking Ron Paul a great guy era, his Juche era. This is a contrived, constructed personality. There is no way this guy believes in anything. There's no way. And look, I respect it. I respect the hustle. I really do. I just would appreciate if he would do it in a way that made people a little less crazy. But he needs an Eras tour because he's been through like at least 20 arcs in his life. He's led an interesting life. I think he spent some time in Nicaragua working for the CIA too, but we'll never know that.
Occupying the moral high ground immediately? I said, I've got nothing to do with that. I didn't hear Ron Paul say anything about it. And they tried to kill my piece, but I pushed hard and it ran at the very end of 2007. Not that anyone cares. It's the New Republic. It has a readership of like 1,900 people, but I cared since I wrote the piece. And then the very next issue, the first issue of 2008, had a cover story by Jamie Kirchick on how you may have reached the wrong conclusion about Ron Paul in the last issue. Actually, the guy's a racist, an anti-Semite, probably. Can't prove it, but of course he is. White Christian guy, right-winger. The piece was actually called Angry White Man, written about the least angry white man this country's ever produced. People have called Ron Paul many things, and some of them may be true. Angry, they've never called him, because he's definitely not angry, as you're about to see. But they went out of their way, and by they, I mean organized neoconservatives, to smear Ron Paul, not simply as wrong on the issues, in fact, not as wrong on the issues. They didn't bother to engage on the issue, philosophically or practically, but wrong as a person, unacceptable. You are not allowed to like Ron Paul because he's bad. He's Nazi adjacent. In fact, his family may be German.
This is a crazy person, man. How does this act still continue to suck people in? Tucker Carlson is speaking like a crazy person. Do you want people to talk to you like do you want people to go? And they said he's a racist. Dude, you sound like a dolphin. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? They said he's an anti-Semite. This is probably some technique that I'm not aware of, where you make people, you do like these triggers or something like that, so they can like, he's all racist, and everything else is like this, but we're gonna say these words like anti-Semite. This is, who does this draw in? This guy's crazy. He has to be. It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't get it. Who talks like this, dude?
That was 2008. By the time Ron Paul, totally undeterred, by the way, ran for president again in 2012, they were foaming at the mouth, not because the Ron Paul movement had become huge or inevitable. He was never in danger of being elected president, but because his decency itself was his calling card. Ron Paul was clearly not a bad person, no matter what they said about him, and his ideas made a kind of inherent sense. There was a coherence to his worldview. And that was a massive threat to the members of our media and commentariat who'd like to use your tax dollars to fight wars on behalf of Israel.
Okay. And there we go. All right. So Tucker Carlson is now in his Ron Paul era. Let me see here. This is what I wanted to confirm. I wanted to confirm the last time. So he interviewed Thomas Massie a year ago. I think it's very curious. I'm not sure why. Look, Thomas Massie got 1 million viewers. I'm sure now it would get more. Ron Paul got, it just came out, but let's check. Ron Paul has gotten 300,000 viewers. So I assume this. I assume Ron Paul has less of a draw than Thomas Massie, just given the news cycle right now. But I have to say, this is clearly some sort of like a nod to Thomas Massie to be like, you're doing a good job, sir. You're doing like a good job. And I guess maybe Thomas Massie doesn't have time right now because he's too busy reading about how kids were molested, like in detail with Ro Khanna. I'm sure they're having a grand old time. There's nothing I love more to do as a congressman than lock myself in a room with Ro Khanna to read salacious files of children being abused. Oh, great. This is what I went to school for. Anyway, this is clearly, I mean, we see it here, dude. This is like an attack on Trump, an attack on Tucker is taking anyone he can get at this point. I'm not saying Ron Paul's a bad guy or anything, but he's literally adding anyone onto the anti-Trump movement, the counter-Trump movement. And I don't see what the point of this is, man. Aside from a wink and a nod to Thomas Massie, because if you watch some of the interview, like Ron Paul is 80 years old or 90 years. He's an old man. He's had a stroke. And I don't know, again, and this is where I struggle with libertarians. He's not going to say anything he hasn't said before because libertarians are not only autistic, they are stubborn. I can tell you what was said in this interview. They're spending too much money. The Fed is a scam. We need to return to the gold standard or maybe embrace Bitcoin. Foreign policy should be isolationist. We should not be dropping bombs on drug boats. The Venezuela raid was bad. Russia could possibly be our friend. There's no reason to do all this military spending. I can do the whole script. It's not very difficult to do. I can do Dave Smith. Well, you see, Israel's actions in Palestine are against the non-aggression principle. We should. And I'm not taking a side on this. I'm just telling you that this is what they sounds like. It's the same thing. Dave Smith. This is Dave Smith. Well, you see, we shouldn't be having a Federal Reserve because a Federal Reserve was set up in order to enslave you with inflation. We should have money to be free. It should be based on the gold standard. It should trade publicly. That way we have something constant, or maybe we could even use gold or Bitcoin because that'll lead to a better world because sound money means a sound world. And I don't care. I heard this when I was 14 years old, dude. I don't care anymore. How can we listen to the same thing? It's like libertarians. Dude, it's like a dog or something. They want to. Do you want to go outside? I'm sure a dog, if you ask them, do you want to go outside? For 20 years, they're going to get just as excited at the first time they heard it as the last time they heard it. Do you want to go outside? Yes, I want to go outside. Anyway. It's quite clearly not a shift, but a pivot in the attack on Trump from Tucker Carlson. I don't know who he's going to endorse. I really don't understand at this point, and I'm not even going to speculate. JD Vance is completely on the back burner. You can tell that Tucker hates Marco Rubio just because of the foreign policy stuff. And I guess at this point, he's pushing for a movement that abandons Israel. But he's mentioning it at the top. I'm sure he doesn't give a shit about inflation, dude. His whole focus now is Israel. I'm not calling him an anti-Semite, by the way. I don't care. Like that's fine. My whole focus is if I were in politics, my whole focus would probably be like American hemispheric relations. That would be mine. So it's fine. You can be focused on Israel. But I'm just wondering, Tucker, you're a sophisticated guy. You know that Thomas Massie's not going to win the presidency. So are you dropping JD Vance or are you going to endorse someone else? Because if Israel is the litmus test, it's going to be tough to find people, man. I don't think anyone can openly get to a position of like electability and be against Israel. Is he going to endorse like Chen Uyghur for president? But anyway, I think it's important to show that Tucker Carlson is a guy who, again, is going into, he might run, says Mr. Elu. I guess. Maybe, right? He keeps insisting he won't. He doesn't strike me as that type of guy. I don't know. Anyone who, I know he's not a proper WASP, but anyone who's in WASPy culture or something, strikes me as they're kind of out of it at this point. They're like, dude, we have Catholics and Germans and black people, and there's no point to us joining in again. We're having a grand old time in Vermont. So I don't know, like this WASPy type of thing. I don't know if that he would do that. Like if he would he would do that. And I'm sure this would translate to actual votes, though. But I don't know if that's in his wheelhouse, like if he would want to do it more than anything. And everything says Trump would destroy Republicans' chances and that would rather destroy Republican chances and let Massie win. But the thing is, I don't think Massie even has a chance just based on the way he dude, Thomas Massie, I get it. Like, but Thomas Massie, you're not that guy. Like, you're not that guy. And I'm not saying that I'm not that guy. You know, I would like to be in the background or Secretary of State or something. I don't want to be the main guy. He doesn't strike me as the guy that wants it. Ro Khanna, on the other hand, strikes me as he wants to be that guy, but he's not that guy. So I don't know what Tucker's whole game here is, man. It's just, it's not frustrating anymore because at this point I'm just watching it and being like, oh, okay, this is fucking weird. But the fact he can just shift back and forth. I saw some people calling him a lizard. I don't know if that's true. But, you know, that shapeshifter conspiracy theory. Dude, he's literally shapeshifting in front of our eyes. Tucker Carlson is here literally downloading a new personality and a new set of politics every other week. And this is not healthy for the country, I don't think. This is one of the most important people in media. So, you know. Iron Hammer Forge says, I don't think Carlson, Massie, or Ron are in their ascendancy arc. Ooh. That is true. I actually agree with you. Tucker he's not ascendant, but he's like stagnant, but in a really high place. Absolutely. I'm not taking away from the guy. Yeah. And I had everything says, to be fair, Bernie gave us AOC and Mamdani. Dude, my producer hates Bernie Sanders, man. He says Bernie Sanders ruined this country. Like, he literally thinks it was Bernie Sanders' fault. And he hates Hillary Clinton, by the way. So he's like, dude, so Bernie Sanders, he hates Bernie Sanders. He hates Hillary Clinton, but he's like, dude, Bernie empowered every retard in this country to get behind some cause like Medicare for all that they don't even care about anymore. You know, that's his main offense, where he's like, they don't care about it anymore. So what was the point of this? Was the point to get more people to live in Brooklyn? Sarah, I don't know, Sarah, wow, I thought you were Mr. Elu, says he is the male Megyn Kelly. That is true. That is true. He is a very Megyn Kelly. If you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Subscribing takes half a second. It's literally free and it's free. But yeah, I thought we would just make you aware that Tucker Carlson has downloaded a new personality. It is now Ron Paul Libertarianism. And I expect next week we will have on, I don't know, Haas from Infrared, and he will become a Stalinist. And then after that, we'll have on Ben Burgess, and he'll be a social democrat. And then he'll have on, I don't know, an actual white nationalist and become a white nationalist. His ability to download a personality is really something. And everything says that Massie can do what Bernie did. Oh, is Massie as charismatic as Bernie? Because I don't see that. I don't see that. I don't hate Thomas Massie, but is he as charismatic as, because Bernie has like the, you know, I'm an old Jewish guy from New York who has that Union accent, you know, not win, but gain support for the ideologies and everything. Dude, I think maybe I've been to libertarian conferences, man. I've been to them. I like, you walk around there and I don't think this is an ascendant ideology. I think the era of like small government, I like some libertarians. Look, I spoke to this guy called Tho Bishop. He was big on Twitter a few years ago. He's a libertarian, but he was really smart because he didn't mind using government for libertarian goals. But that was 1 in a million. Because the rest of them are like, I want to do nothing. In fact, I want open borders and I want to do nothing. And it's, dude, come on, bro. Like, you are not serious. What are we doing? I want to do nothing, and I want open borders, and I want the military to go away, and we all gonna be friends. That's what libertarians sound like to most people. So Thomas Massie, because right now it's about the sex trafficking, and that's fine. But when he speaks to other things, are people gonna care? You know, because they care now because of the Epstein thing. And let's be frank, they care because he's a Republican who's opposing Trump. And so he's getting boosted by Democrats, right? And I'm not sure if that's a great strategy. You know, I'm not sure it's a great strategy. So Bohat says, I hope Leo will wear a hijab for the whole month of March. But I appreciate you and everything. Like, dude, I appreciate your support for Thomas Massie. I get it. Look, a lot of people are frustrated with Trump and they think Thomas Massie's the answer. And I get it. Like, he's I wouldn't say he's a charismatic figure, but I'm saying that he's one of the only alternatives, right? If you're not saying one thing, you're not saying the other thing, you're saying the third thing, it is interesting at least. But I just don't think he has the juice. Me? It's not about the money. It's about the juice. You know, Heat, great movie. Ephra says, do you think different times require different leaders? Yeah, definitely, of course. Of course, but I would say, and I don't know if you guys saw this week, this article that came out on Twitter about how AI is going to take over the world. It was really enlightening to me because the article, it was on Twitter, it was like getting retweeted everywhere. The article is clearly a marketing ploy, but I think there was more truth to it than not, in the sense that I think that AI is going to automate a lot of jobs. Absolutely. And we are at a point now where we have made AI, right? We made the God machine, for lack of a better term. A Luddite would show up now and throw himself off out of a building if he saw what AI did, right? He'd be like, wow, this is really replacing everything. And is it taking us towards more leisure or less? I think the answer is either way, it's not beneficial, because less leisure makes people angry and more leisure makes them drug addicted weirdos. You know, like that's what happens. And so when we talk about good leaders, and I'm not saying anything here to be like nihilistic, okay? But whether we had good or bad leaders, they have all led us to this particular moment in time. And I'm not sure it's exactly conducive to human life for a significant portion of the population. For me, it is, dude. I'm all for the brain chip. I'm all for the AI sunglasses and shit, because I am past caring. I am past saying, oh, I'm morally offended by spying or any. I don't care anymore. I don't. But I think most people are like my fellow Gentiles, my fellow goys out here. They are still like quibbling with it. And a lot of people are going to get hurt in the process, you know, Ephra. So that's I know a weird way of answering the question, but I think if we take a wider lens, whether it's good or bad leadership, not to get Nick Land, were we always working towards this end of like the God machine, and is it actually good for us? You know, so maybe we would have benefited more from like bad leaders, you know, but definitely there were cool leaders for cool periods of time. I think FDR is like the coolest guy in history, probably. FDR is like the coolest. Who else was a good leader? Vicente Gomez in Venezuela was a great leader. Who else we got? We got Fidel Castro is a great example of a leader fit for the time. The shtick ran out in like the 2000s, if not earlier. To me, it had run out in the 90s, but whatever. And you see Castro die in like 2010s, I don't remember when he fucking died, dude. It was a party down here. I was drunk. I don't know. And it's like, dude, what is this archaic figure from the 19th century, 20th century doing here? Same as the Iranian regime. I think a lot of reasons that people are more amenable to it toppling is because it's like, what? This is like an archaic sort of communist regime from 1979 that doesn't really make sense, you know? Everything says it's about policies, but it's not about policies, but the way you show them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like the DSA policies are shit, but they won because they made their policies like, absolutely. Absolutely. You put a pretty face on it and it works, you know? At the end of the day, I don't even think it's about the policies themselves, because it really is about charisma. It really is about the individual. That's the problem with the Christoph brain. That's what I'm calling the hell we're in and who's running it. I'm going to call it Christoph after the Truman Show. I said that in the latest video. The Christoph brain, this brain we have, means that I could be saying something horrible, but if I'm charismatic enough, you are going to want it. You know, that is the problem, where I can create need and want in someone else purely with charisma. And I think Zoran was just like a good-looking guy who spoke really eloquently, had policies which are just like 3 bullet points that everyone got to repeat. And he won, and good for him. I'm happy for him to do that. But you know, Efra says embrace. King Leo says embrace the AI overlords. And I am kind of at that position, because I'm kind of a Nick Landian in that sense. What are we doing? Who are we fighting? We're not going to win. We're not going to. Anyway, we're gonna run out of camera battery. Let's get out of here. Count up with the chat. At 112 says, wow, we were always working towards the God machine. That's Nick Land, 112. That's not original for me. That's Nick Land. And I'm starting to get some Nick Landian sense. Like, Nick Land thinks that the numbers are possessed and shit. And like that we were always working towards something like this. He's kind of gone off the rails lately, but if you read his writings from the 90s, they're pretty good. And by the way, I saw Aaron Hammer Forge mention that, and I see Dane says, we can't turn it around. Exactly. Iron Hammer Forge mentioned that Steve Bannon was laundering money for Epstein through World of Warcraft. I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me because I'm just going to use this to plug a movie. Dude, you should watch American Dharma. It's a pretty good movie, documentary by Errol Morris with Steve Bannon, and he explains how he developed that. Steve Bannon is responsible for the exchanges for video game currency. He did that in the 90s in Hong Kong with World of Warcraft, and they made a shit ton of money. So this surprised me. Very smart. Well, let's end the show, dude, but like with some flair. Our black person of the day. Let's play our black person of the day audio.
You have to think, young brother, about your future.
Take it from me, someday we'll all be free.
Again, it was Ray Charles. Let's listen to some Ray Charles.
I didn't quite understand it first, you know what I mean? So mean, you're the meanest old woman that I've ever seen. I guess if you say so, I'm gonna have to pack my things and go. That's right, hit the road, don't you come back no more, no more.
I can't believe that he was. It really boggles the mind. I want to start doing that thing. I know some people who, you know, like you have like blind family or something. They try to have empathy and they close their eyes for a specific amount of time to see what it would like to be blind. Like doing this for like an hour or something. How is he playing this keyboard? This is Florida excellence, man. Florida excellence is Andrew Jackson, Henry Flagler, Ray Charles, Andy Garcia. What's this guy's name, dude? Guy Bradley, Henry Plant. Only a Floridian could do this. Only a black Floridian like Ray Charles could do this. This is the Magic State, dude. The Magic City, Miami, it's the Magic State. This is the state of magical realism. It's not a coincidence that the state is so Latino because we are a magical realist state. Only a Floridian could be Ray Charles. And that's... I don't want to preach. Why are people not celebrating Black history? I feel like it's just me. We got to celebrate like under-discussed Black people that can fill us with pride. I'm Hispanic. I was born in this state, first generation, and I'm like, yeah, Ray Charles is fucking cool. He's my guy. I love him. He shows how cool our state is. Why would we not do this for every race and shit, you know? Well, happy Black History, you know? Happy Black History Month. Gabriel Garcia Marquez in the chat. Dude, I have a copy, a first edition of The General in His Labyrinth, and I haven't read it, man. I've had that copy for 15 years. I got it at a garage sale for free with the dust cover. No, Gabriel Garcia Marquez is Colombian. You're thinking of Bolaño. Bolaño is the Chilean. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Yeah, he's Colombian. He's Colombian. Confirmed Colombian. Colombian! Yeah, you're thinking of Bolaño. So yeah, man. Ray Charles. Don't forget a brother that could play the piano blind. If that's not worth celebrating, what is worth? Imagine if you were blind and you could play the piano. Just whatever. Imagine not thinking this is like the coolest shit in the world. Watch the movie. It's pretty good. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's go to our plugs. Join the Patreon or become a channel member like Dane did today. Let's get some air horns again. I really appreciate that, Dane. It makes my job a lot easier. But again, we have the Discord here. I think the link is in the description. I don't know if I put it or not. Let me double check. Let me actually check right now. Bro, I think I might have not put it, which is not good because that, yeah, I didn't put it. Wait, no, I did put it. It's just a new type of description. Did I put it? No, I didn't put it. Let me put the link in the descriptions here. Fuck, dude. Hang on 1 second, guys. Boomer time here. Here we go. Support the channel. I'm going to steal all this off this video from today. As you'll see, the descriptions are different. The thumbnails are different. We're going for a different approach here. So here you have support the channel. It's going to be here at the top. And then the description. And we were going to, yeah, okay. Well, YouTube froze on me, so I'm sorry I can't do it. You can go to another video and find the link to the Patreon description because YouTube is retarded and it froze on me. I'll keep the video running afterwards in case you do want to do it so I can edit it and save it. We have the Discord, of course, which is free, and there's a paid tier. Jesse's in there, Mr. 112. 112, dude, get in the lounge. We can talk in there. You don't have to type. We have the Patreon here, which has the King Leo Movie Club. I'm going to add stuff on here, dude. I think I never want to do the Substack thing, but I think we can add other series here to really get people value for their money because one weekly episode is cool, but I think we could do more. And we also have the What Would a Postmodernist or Piers Morgan Do parody bracelet available. So with that, everyone, let me check if I can update this. I can't. Dude, I don't know if it's a Brave problem or something else. You know. Let's pull up some other Ray Charles, man. This is like an older performance. We're running late today. Georgia on my mind. This is a great one.
Georgia.
Description's updated.
Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Georgia on my mind.
Good night, everyone. Friday.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye. Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.